And we're back in the studio like we never left. Welcome to the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you all for spending some of your Sunday early evening here with me in New York. But once again, we're going to skip past all that promotional jazz and get right to the guts of the episode. Well, it turns out that 5 years ago today, on August 24th, 2020, a cataclysmic event took place. We all remember how bad it was during COVID for various reasons. But on August 24th, 2020, gyms reopened in New York. Now, there had been a lot of discussion, a lot of conversations with many people who I had worked out with at Bev's for some cases decades. They were all excited to go back. And I don't really know why I wasn't planning on going back. I didn't tell anyone at the time that, oh, I'm never going back, because never can be a very long time. I just knew that at this particular juncture, I just didn't want to go back. I was enjoying working out at home. I'd gotten a couple of pieces, different pieces, and I had my eye on more. And I just felt like maybe this is what I need to be doing right now. I need to be focusing on myself, focusing on, making sure my dad, who at the time was still healthy and doing well, living a mile away from me in Huntington Village. I just felt like I didn't need to go back to the gym or go racing back. But I don't think at that particular juncture, 5 years ago today, I was just, shutting the door, slamming the door. Because people retire all the time, right? Daniel Day-Lewis does the Phantom Thread 2017. That's it. I surrender. That's it. He retired, and now he's come back. Maybe just because his son wanted him to do a movie with him. And you know what? There are worse reasons to make a comeback than that. My assumption is that Daniel Day-Lewis's son, Ronan, is probably a genius. I don't think that the apple fell that far from the tree. But to understand the mindset of somebody who is a creature of habit, as I am, a product of routine, where each day, going back decades, I pretty much knew what the day was going to be before I had it. And because I have a little bit of anxiety issues, well, more than a little, social anxiety disorder, and there were, at various points, the makings of what could have been construed as a little bit of OCD. I certainly have OCD tendencies. But when you think that you know what your day is going to be, and then something steps in the way and deflects it, well, I don't need to tell you, nobody likes that. But people like me, it's that much worse. So I guess you could say the first surprise, when all of this madness took place, and in the second week of March of 2020, hey, I think some heavy shit's about to come down. And then we all remember we had a lot of different conversations with people, regardless of whether you thought it was one way or the other. We all remember what we thought and what actually happened, which was that shit started closing down. So I was in a panic. As much because I thought my beloved home away from home, Bev's Gym, was going to close, which it did. And then what? Well, bro, you have some resources here. There's nothing preventing you from ordering some gym equipment and sticking it in your apartment. It's as if it had never occurred to me before this moment. I was allowed, is that even the right word? That I was fully capable, that I could do something else. Because I remember in the second week of March, attendance at Bev's dropped precipitously. Some people had gotten sick. We remember that. That wasn't good. Some people got sick. Other people said, I've got a gym at home. I don't need this. One of my friends who was a doctor, he says, yeah, you might not be seeing me anymore in here, at least for the time being, because I have a pretty big gym in my basement. And I guess somebody had to say that for the synapses to connect in my brain. Again, the savant brain is difficult to figure sometimes because there are a lot of things that I have done and not done throughout my life where upon closer inspection, you say, well, why didn't you know that already? There's a lot of stuff that intellectually I knew, but that I simply didn't put into practice because maybe I thought, well, you're not supposed to do that. But the surprise is that when I put in the initial order of home gym equipment, and I didn't spend a lot of money, and I really, for myself, not anybody else, I don't like spending other people's money. I don't give a shit how, if it's $3 to rent a movie on Prime, I don't want to tell them, oh, you got to spend it. It's your money. You do with it as you see fit. Don't let me influence you. But my goal was not to only spend a little bit. Well, I already have a $500 a year gym membership. I don't want to spend more than that on something that we hope is very temporary. But I just wanted to get something. And what I understood is when I put the orders in, and I ordered an elliptical, Sunny Health and Fitness Airwalker elliptical. It still works like new. Now, maybe some of you have heard me say this before on previous episode, or maybe you haven't. But when I think of, I've had a lot of Amazon orders, as I'm sure many of you have had hundreds and hundreds of orders from Amazon. My single best purchase ever was that Sunny Health and Fitness Airwalker elliptical, which I purchased on March 13th of 2020. Now, the thing was $100 all in. I think $103 was the tally, all in. And the fact that it still works, it went from my Huntington apartment to my father's house in Huntington, where he used it for about a year before his health went off the cliff. And then I brought it here with me when I moved over here. It's an amazing thing that it still works, because I've had expensive cardio machines that broke after 6 months and they were DOA, you know what I mean? So I got an elliptical for $100. I got adjustable dumbbells, but not the ones that I have now, which at the time when people started freaking out, they were going for $800 to $1,000. The Bowflexes that went from 5 pounds to 52.5, a friend of mine paid $800. You want to talk price gouging? You want to talk, that's not okay. But extreme situations, right? You're desperate and you're pretty much going to do anything. But I bought these like real shitty sand-filled dumbbells. They only went as high as, it was supposed to be 22.5. I think it was like 21 pounds. So I had these 21-pound dumbbells, a pair, and I had a 5-way bench. So I only spent about $200. My initial outlay may have been just over $200. The dumbbells, I think, were $60. The bench was $70, and the elliptical. So let's say somewhere between $225 and $250 all in. The surprise was that I missed the life that we had had a week earlier. I missed normal stuff. But I didn't miss the gym specifically. And what I realized is my obsession, my addiction, if you will, wasn't to the gym itself. It wasn't even to lifting certain kinds of weight or doing cardio on a certain machine. What I needed was exercise of any kind. And some of you, we joke around and you have seen me do these crazy sets. Sometimes I post to YouTube, but on social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, where I'm doing, 30-pound dumbbells for 100 reps of bench press, or just crazy, sick shit like that. The genesis of that was not me having 21.5 or whatever it was pound dumbbells. It was before that, when I began to get injured when I was 37. I was still working out at almost full capacity when I was 37, and then all of a sudden suffered a series of injuries, which told me you need to do something else with your time other than set yourself up to get injured. And the unfortunate thing is, I had a long stretch between age 37 and age 51 where I did not suffer any major injuries, which would have kept me out of the gym for even a day. Nothing until in March of this year, we tore our right biceps tendon doing that very, very dangerous Mount Everest level exercise, otherwise known as taking a spare tire out of the trunk. You imagine someone like me, a proposed fitness buff, right? My name, Movies Fitness Buff on Instagram. That's how you tore your bicep, bro. But you know what? A friend of mine tore his bicep playing softball. He didn't realize that the tendon was frayed, and he made a normal throw from center field to second base. And as soon as the throw went, like what happened with me, the tendon snapped like the proverbial rubber band. You can hear it. You hear the snap. But I had to make changes, and I thought I was only going to get the exercise high and the cosmetic results, if you will, if I worked out a certain way. No, not true. So I started doing really crazy stuff after the injuries which took place in 2011 and the first part of 2012. I hurt my shoulder. I hurt my left tricep tendon. Left arm is still okay. I hurt my left foot. I hurt my right foot. I tore a muscle in my trapezius. I hurt my left lower lumbar. I hurt my right lower lumbar. I suffered a severely strained left hip flexor. That was the most painful injury I've ever suffered, by the way. Way more painful than ripping a bicep. Not even close. The left hip flexor, I thought I was going to be in bed for a week. I didn't think I was going to be able to walk. Excuse me. You make changes. And there I was, March of 2020, April, trying to make the best, as many of us were, of a really crazy scenario. And I hope that none of you out there lost family or had people get brutally, violently ill. As far as the people closest to me, many people got COVID, but I mean, my aunt had it in the first week of March, and we were freaking out. But she ended up being okay. Nothing really happened. It hit her like a mild cold, which is good. That's what we want. But then I knew somebody who by March 15th was in a hospital on a ventilator. Like, that was scary shit. And this was a person in his 20s. So nobody knew what was happening. But being able to exercise, being able to feed the addiction, I didn't need the community experience. I missed it. I liked it, but I didn't need it. I just needed the means to exercise. That's all I needed. And so those early days saw me do some real crazy workouts, 200 reps of bench presses with 20-pound dumbbells, just like completely insane. But necessity is the mother of invention. And unless you're going to put forth some kind of crazy slow rep cadence, which is something I did experiment with back in the 90s, reading books by a very intelligent exercise scientist named Ellington Darden. He wrote a lot of books about high-intensity training, but not the way we normally nowadays, if somebody says, well, what does high-intensity training mean to you? Darden had very specific notions and ideas, and one of them was a form of training he called super slow, which was 10 seconds up, 5 seconds down. So even if you're going to do that, you could make 21-pound dumbbells. They're gonna start to feel heavy if you do what I said. No matter how strong you are, the ATP, everything is going to drop, and you're not going to be having a good time after the first minute or so. So I didn't do that. I just did as many reps as I could with those dumbbells for every exercise, whether it was back exercise like deadlifts or even dumbbell rows, just anything. And when things started to normalize in the summer, and then we got the word that bowling alleys, movie theaters, gyms were going to reopen, there was a sense of relief because, man, the news was so terrible in March for so much of New York. It was horrible. You start to believe that life is always going to be like this. Like, we wanted it to go back to the way that it was a few weeks prior, where maybe we were a little wary, but we didn't think, I certainly wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting what ended up happening. So the sense of relief, and many of my friends, oh, Jerry, are you coming back? Or I'm just, I just don't think that, I don't think this is the right time for me to, for me to go back. So rather than return, I expanded. I bought real adjustable dumbbells. The price started to come down a little bit by that point. And I got them from a company that is now out of business. I don't think that they were like shysters or anything, but they went out of business. Dumbbells were fine. And I ended up selling those and getting a better pair, which I have now, which were slightly more expensive, but I only ended up paying like maybe an additional $70. And then I upgraded the cardio equipment. And I guess by the fall of 2020, and I don't remember waking up one day saying, I'm never going back to Bev's. But I just didn't feel like going back. I don't know what happened other than a sort of ethereal concept, which is that at some time in the summer of 2020, it felt like a chapter of a book that had been closed. And I didn't close it. The universe closed it for me. And I don't know why I thought that way. I didn't have a dream or a nightmare or something, but it just seemed as if I needed to stay where I was and do what I was doing. And obviously living out here, I wouldn't still be going to Bev's today if I could have resumed my membership and gone back, but eventually I know there are some people who commute from huge distances, but for the average person, I don't think that it's practical to, let's say, have a 70-mile round trip to go to a gym. I mean, if you want to do it, you do it. But man, that's a hike. So I simply stayed put. I stayed where I was. And the only commercial gyms that I went to were if I was on vacation going to Florida to visit my mother in 2021. I went to the 24-Hour Fitness not far from where she lives. And then as I began to get myself organized, I turned out I didn't get myself organized at all. But as I was getting myself together to move here, I went to Planet Fitness. I joined a Planet Fitness in Greenlawn, not far from Huntington. And I actually far preferred working out in the comfort of home, even in a second floor apartment where I had to be very, very careful not to drop anything, especially when I now had 70 and 80-pound dumbbells. That could do a lot of damage, especially in a building that was already, 140 years old. But no disasters, not once. I never had a complaint from the restaurateur downstairs, Sir Argentinian Steakhouse. It's pretty cool to have that place below me. What an amazing restaurant that is, by the way. But I had no mistakes, no disasters, nobody having to call because this moron upstairs is deadlifting 300 pounds. And he said, no, nothing. But I didn't need any community atmosphere. I thought I did, but I was wrong. I just needed the means, the tools to exercise. Because the motivation never lagged. And that's my superpower. It's very elusive. It's not something I ever would have imagined. But my superpower is that my motivation never drops. And it's difficult to, it's good that it's difficult for me to imagine. If I ever just suddenly wake up one day and, I don't really feel like exercising today, and then wake up the next day, I don't really feel like exercising today either. And there are plenty of hyper-motivated people where this is a thing, where on a given day, and not just because, hey, we only got 2 hours of sleep, or horrendous life stressors, someone's sick, whatever. We don't feel our best. What I can't explain is why I'm motivated to work out every single day. I don't know. I think maybe it's just fear. But whatever it is, whatever gets you there, it's the same idea. Whatever gets you to the gym or motivates you to put together your own gym if you can. Do you have the motivation to actually work out? Because I have a friend who lives in Florida now, real character, used to work out with him at Bev's. And in the middle of March, when we were talking on the phone, and oh, geez, I can't believe they closed the gyms. What are we going to do? He ordered, I don't know, $30,000 worth of home gym equipment. He bought a treadmill, like not $200-300, which is what one person realistically needs, unless you're a marathon runner and you need a very specific kind of tread. He bought a $10,000 treadmill. He bought 2 different kinds of ellipticals, benches. Yeah, he spent close to $30,000 outfitting a gym for his basement. And then I didn't hear from him for, I don't know, 4 months. The next time I heard from him, he was in Florida. He said, you know all that stuff that I bought when we talked on the phone in March? Yeah, never used it. He never used it because it wasn't about the equipment. It was about the desire to use the equipment. So if somebody had asked me in the summer of 2019, what do you think would happen if you suddenly could only work out with dumbbells, let's say between 20 and 25 pounds? You won't be able to use this high-tech $3,000 elliptical. You're going to have to make do with something else. It's going to work, but it's not going to be spiffy. It's not going to be fancy. It's going to be bare bones. You're not going to have the sturdy $300 bench of Bev's. You're going to have a normal bench, but it's not going to be the same. You might have to put something on the bench to keep it from moving around. If someone had said in 2019, you're going to have a home gym 1 year from now, summer of 2020, you're going to be working out here, that would have scared the absolute crap out of me. I would not have understood. When we have not experienced something, it's scary. That's across the human spectrum. It's the fear of the unknown, literally, in this instance. So if someone had said that to me, I would have freaked out. And I would have tried to calculate, well, what could possibly be going on in the world that I would have to be here? So maybe you got thrown out of the gym. Well, maybe, but why wouldn't I be going to a different gym then? Yeah, good point. I would have been petrified. I would have assumed that my motivation would lag because I wasn't in the same atmosphere. And how am I going to maintain anything without any weights, without any real weights? I knew people that lifted couches, lifted tires. You do what you have to do. You do the best you can. And eventually, things will take a turn for the better. And things did take a turn for the better. Because we never reclosed the gyms, even though there was some talk about it. It didn't happen, at least not here. And life did eventually return to normal. Whatever that is, because normal is different for every person. Some people didn't miss a beat at work, and other people weren't able to work, or didn't work, or they were in a particular business that shut down. I hope that's not the case for you. But I never seriously considered going back. And I remember at the beginning of it, wondering, is there any way we'll be back in a month, 6 weeks, 2 months? There was a point in time where I would have gone right back. But it must have been, there was something, the wiring began to shift, the mindset began to shift. I can choose to go back, but I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't need it. I never actually needed it. Now, at the beginning of your fitness journey or workout journey, you probably do need it. You need the community atmosphere. You need people motivating you. You need to get the sense that I can do better. I could be better. Look at how motivated this person is. This guy lost 50 pounds. Whatever the case might be. Because depending on how we're wired, we're going to get motivation from different sources. We are going to I wish that I could do what this person did. Or whatever. Just as long as you don't get overly envious, it's perfectly fine, right? So where I live now, I do have functional home gym in a basement, and I have there's a gym in the clubhouse. But of late, I've stayed here. I wake up in the morning and I stretch, and sometimes I'll make myself coffee from the Keurig, and other times I will I have the spiked fruit punch spiked with caffeine, stuff like that, lemonade spiked with caffeine. It's more cost effective to do it that way than buy Red Bulls. But I just do my own thing. I'm here, and I don't need anybody else. You know, like Pacino, she don't need no man. I don't need anybody else when it comes to working out. I don't need outside motivation. And I had a lot of great training partners who for sure spurred me on to bigger heights, but I also was setting myself up for future injuries. And I can't pretend that that's not the case. Some of the daredevil shit that I pulled in my 20s and 30s, this tendon did not tear by accident. I don't hobble around when I first get up out of a chair. I don't hobble by accident. I did it to myself. I don't have anybody to blame. It wasn't, well, the machine was, no. I abused my body doing heavy weights for high reps, you know? For 20, stupid shit like that. I did stuff that was even worse because I acted as if I was going to live forever. I acted as if I had limitless orthopedic capacity, just going to keep reloading. Well, you don't. I'm better on my own because I'm less likely to do anything really stupid like try to impress somebody. If you ask me, could I pull 300 pounds now? Well, right now, no, because I strained my left lower lumbar 2 weeks ago. Then I strained my right lower lumbar 3 days ago. It's a comedy of errors when you get to a certain point. In theory, without those injuries, yeah, I could pull 300, but the risk of another injury is, I would say it's probably 90%. That if I were to do something as dumb as, okay, I'm going to warm up with 135, I'm going to go to 225, I'm going to go to 275, and then let's just see what happens. I can pull it, but something will pull in my lower back. It's mathematical certainty. Too many years of abuse. Too many years of being hyper motivated, of not being smart. I should have been doing 225 for 50, 225 for 75. Seems insane, but that would have been better than, fuck this, I'm going to get 10 reps with 405. Let's fucking go. Yeah, looks good when you post it in 2009. Doesn't feel so good now. But the motivation to work out, the need for physical exercise every day. I don't take any days off. I don't take any days off in any way. Well, sometimes I don't record podcasts. I apologize. Well, no, maybe that's good for you. I don't know. But I think of how I felt 5 years ago today. I felt content. I was content to keep working out at home. And something could have happened in September and said, you know what, I'm going to go back to Bev's now. But that inciting incident didn't take place. I did not feel a strong pull to do anything other than a strong pull, like a deadlift. But I didn't feel a strong pull, a yearning to go back. So I just bought more stuff, added to the home gym, got another piece for cardio, got a trap bar. And that's how I do it. Because it isn't about what equipment you have. It is your willingness to use it. How badly do you want it? How motivated are you? I can't answer that. Only you can. But wherever you are, you got to do something. You know, you got to do something. Like Susan Powter used to say, you got to move, you've got to breathe. And then she would scream the words, stop the insanity at the top of her lungs. Well, I'm not screaming anything like that. Bev's gym was like a second home to me. That's not an exaggeration. The number of hours I spent there in a given week, a given month, a given year. But all good things come to an end. Being able to pull 450, like it was nothing. No, thank you. I'm all set here. I'm never going to pull 300 again. I may never pull 275. It may not be orthopedically viable. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And it's something that if I had been told at 35, bro, when you're 51, you're still going to be okay. You're going to be able to work out, but you're not going to be able to work out the way you want to. You're going to have to make modifications based on injuries incurred. Would not have liked hearing that. Well, 35-year-old me could have made adjustments before it was too late, but he didn't. Go hard or go home. That's what she said. You can't always be first, but you can be next. But I am grateful to be here, to have the ability to make a choice every day. Well, I'm either going to go over there or I'm going to stay here, but to want to do it. I'm not forcing myself to do it. I work out because I love working out. Not just that the endorphin rush afterwards. No, the process of working out. It's fantastic. Now, I won't go as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger in Pumping Iron, equating physical exercise with, coming with a woman. I mean, great line. He was not really serious, though, and he joked about it. And if he gets asked that, he's still going to joke about it. He was not being literal. He was talking about the pump and the incredible feel of a fantastic workout. He's not wrong about that. He just maybe exaggerated a little bit. And the joke was that a lot more guys got into weight training to see if they could get that kind of same high that Arnold talked about. But whether they did or didn't, whether you do or do not, you still have to. You still need physical exercise. And it's more important to just do it as opposed to stress over where you are or what exactly do you have for weights, for cardio, for both. I believed that where I was paramount, was the most important thing, and I know now it's not important at all. This has been episode 598 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you all so much for spending some of your Sunday early evening here with me in New York. And if you check out this episode on the YouTube channel, haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on those notifications. Or if you catch this episode on the audio platforms such as Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, or the others in which we're hosted, same general rule applies. Click like, subscribe, share, and turn on those notifications. I'll be back with a new episode real soon. Till then,